3, 2, 1, 0.
What's up, everybody? My name is Corp Cosplay, and welcome to another episode of Monday Night Nerd. It is a good night here in the Southern Ontario area. I hope you're all doing well. Sorry for a late start on this episode. We were talking a whole bunch on the pre-show live on Instagram, and I don't have a clock in front of me because the Instagram live's going. I lost track of time, but we are here tonight. I promise. It is an important night if you're Canadian, and if you're in the state of Florida, it is Game 7 of Stanley Cup playoffs. And I promise we're going to have a hard cutoff at 8 o'clock because that's when the game starts. I'm super excited tonight. I'm not a big Oilers fan. I'm not a big Panthers fan, but it's Game 7. There's a Canadian team in the finals. I am super excited. So I'll make sure to get you guys out of here in time so you don't miss a single play. Tonight, we're going to talk about Guitar Hero. Why? Because, well, Guitar Hero's kind of blowing up again. If you're a Metallica fan or if you're just a player of Fortnite, you know that the Guitar Hero style gameplay is now popping back into the Fortnite universe, and Metallica is back. And we're going to talk about it because it's kind of an interesting thing right now, how Guitar Hero grew into a phenomenon, how it failed, and how it's coming back. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to do a little bit of news at the beginning. First, I was at the movies this week. I went with my buddy Alex and my buddy Dave, and we went to see Ghost. The band Ghost has a movie out right now. I think it was just for a couple days, so I don't know if you can actually see it anymore. It's called Right Here, Right Now. It was a concert movie with a little bit of story behind it because the band Ghost has a whole bunch of theatrical stuff and backstory about the band and all that. It was a really, really cool time. It was actually, I read today, it is the highest grossing concert event movie of all time. I think it hit $5 million or something for a very limited release. It was not worldwide or anything like that. But we had a lot of fun. It was a great concert, great story behind it. I love the band, but I'm realizing I'm at the age, like, I don't need to know absolutely everything about the band. So I didn't get every little reference that was in it, but I did enjoy it. I know a little bit of the story behind the persona of the band and everything else, but it was a really, really good time. If you're a fan of the movie, I believe they're going to be putting out a DVD version, or it's going to be live on some streaming service in the next little while. Check it out if you're a fan of the band. And if you're not a fan of the band, you should still check it out. My wife is not a big hardcore metal fan, rock fan, but she has now become a fan of Ghost, and she admitted it to me last week, and I'm super excited because I have so many good songs that she needs to hear. She's only heard a couple of them through like Spotify and stuff like that, the recommendations, but there are some better songs that I can't wait for her to get into. Another thing that we're going to talk about, X-Men 97. I finally got to watch the finale of X-Men 97, and boy, did it not disappoint. I was so happy with the ending. It is crazy that after 10 episodes of a show that's over 2 to almost 3 decades old, still blew it out of the water. They did everything. I don't think there was a single thing in that series that I could have a problem with throwing stuff. I'm super happy with how the ending came. It sets up such a good runway for what season 2 is going to be. I don't want to spoil anything because there are still some people who haven't seen the finale or even any of the series. But if you're a fan of X-Men 97, if you're a fan of the original X-Men animated series, if you're a fan of the newer style of animation that Marvel's doing, I would even say if you're a fan of What If, I think this is still a great series to watch. You don't need all of the backstory in the original group of shows. I think it's 5 seasons of the first series. You can still jump in and enjoy X-Men 97. The one thing that I'd heard that there are going to be cameos in the last couple episodes, because what happens is it kind of blows up everywhere. I don't want to say exactly what blows up, but you see so many cameos. The cameo in the last episode is pretty much everybody you could think of. I personally jumped out of my seat a little bit when I saw Cloak and Dagger because I'm a low-key giant Cloak and Dagger fan, and seeing them in it, I was like, oh, that's so cool. And in fact, I didn't realize this. I knew this part. I knew there was a Cloak and Dagger series. There's 2 seasons of it. I think it was an Amazon Prime show at some point, but I was never able to find it. Disney Plus now has it, and obviously it's not going to be an amazing show, but I think I might actually watch an episode or 2, because I am a big fan of that couple, because of, well, honestly, because I had Maximum Carnage for my Super Nintendo when I was a kid, and they play an integral role in that game and in the book. So I might actually check out Cloak and Dagger on Disney Plus. If anybody knows anything about it, let me know, because I know nobody who's watched it. Collaborated cosplay in chat. I swear you're like Waldo to me. Anytime you're at a convention, I can't find you anywhere. I never seen you at Forest City Comic Con. I was only there for a couple hours, to be completely honest. It was about an hour and a half drive to get me there. And I was meeting up with some friends. It was a very small con, which I expected. I didn't expect to be Fan Expo. So I felt kind of bad walking through it, and only like within 20, 30 minutes, I kind of covered all of it. But yeah, I ran into a couple people. But yeah, I missed you, I guess, unfortunately. Well, we'll just have to go to another con together. I'll be at Fan Expo. I'm going to be in Buffalo for Nickel City. I'm going to be at Hamilton. I'm going to be at, I was there as Groot from like 11. Okay, so I saw you as Groot. You can't miss you, but you were talking to people and taking photos with kids all day. I did see you as a Groot. You were always bloody busy. Hamilton might happen. Okay, well, I'll make sure. And that's the thing. Like, if you're just walking around, I don't mind jumping in front of you and waving. But when you're talking to kids and like entertaining them, I don't want to be that guy who's like, move out of my way. So I will definitely say hi to you next time I see you. Every time I saw you, you were busy. Alex said it's okay, but it's weak. Well, yeah, I expected that. I don't expect Cloak and Dagger to be like incredible. Another little bit of news. My 3D printer broke. Yeah, it's temporary break. The timing belt broke on it. That happened this week. I talked a little bit about it on the pre-show on Instagram. So I'm a little bummed about that. It's frustrating because I finally got both printers working, and then one broke. So one is going right now. I should have all the Dread stuff done by the end of the week, at least printed, and then I'm going to start taking photos and showing you guys how great it looks. You have one broken. Oh, it sucks. Like, it really sucks, because I'm staring at it going, ugh, and the belt's on its way. It should be here by now. Thank you, Amazon. So hopefully it'll be here soon and I can get it running. I want it up running by the end of the night so I can get stuff going, because that knee pad that I have to print is like a 3-day print. So whatever. It happens. I can live with it. One last little bit of news. It's not really nerd related. It's not anything. It's kind of a personal thing, but not really. I know a lot of people on here and on other social media platforms and are cosplayers and artists and whatever you want. They get really frustrated with social media, because social media algorithms are always changing, and we don't understand what to post and what not to post and all that. So I've been doing a lot of research on this, because I work in marketing and I work in social media in my day job, and I do it here. So I always hear the same thing from people who actually do social media, and I agree with this, is that you just have to keep posting. And some posts are going to work, some are not. And it gets really frustrating. I completely understand that. But especially as a cosplayer, like, this is where people are now. This is the television. Like, whether you're watching me on your phone, or you're watching me on your laptop, or you're watching me on a TV, this is the world now. The world is in the internet, and this is where it's going to be for the next little while, until VR and AR and all that stuff takes over. Just keep posting, because sooner or later something is going to pop off. And don't be afraid to post things that are not just, if you're a cosplayer, cosplay, or if you're an artist, your art. Do things that you have an interest in. That might work, because it's a little more broader. Example being, I posted a video I want to say 6-7 days ago, of the girl that's going around on TikTok. I made a version of that with a background of the Batcave, and I put how to get in the Batcave 101. And I put all of the girls, at least most of the girls, that people would know that Batman has dated and brought to the Batcave. And it was a dumb video. It's one that I'm like, it's 7 seconds, 8 seconds, I think. This is not going to work. I've got 25,000 likes on that video. It has been seen over 800 hours worth. Like, it blew up. It is the best post I've ever done. And it is a dumb 9-second video. And it seems like everyone loves it. And I'm telling you, man, if you ever are like, I don't know if I should post it because you don't know if it'll work, just post it. With those 25,000 likes, I've gained about 100 followers on Instagram because of it. So just keep posting and keep doing it, because sooner or later it's going to work. On the flip side of that, you may also post things and you may run into people who don't like your content. I posted my Darius photos from my photo shoot in Anime North onto a League of Legends Facebook group. And I got a lot of people loving it. I think I got like 500 likes on that. And everyone was so happy. But I also got I got people commenting on it saying that I'm Dunkin' Donuts Darius and that maybe I should work out a little bit. And it happens. Like, I get it. I'm not in Darius shape. I'm also not The Rock. So, does it bug me? Not really, because I've just dealt with that stuff my whole life, and it's not really that, like, I don't care about little comments like that. But know that it's going to happen and just try and live with it. Like, there's no reason to get upset about it. You just kind of got to let it roll off your shoulders. I'm going to sneeze. There we go. So, in conclusion, when you're marketing and when you're showing yourself off, just do it. Just show off your art, show off your cosplay. And if you get some bad people who do stupid stuff and post stupid comments, just ignore them. It's not worth it. It's not worth your energy. Just have fun and do your art and do your cosplay. Okay? Sneeze number 2. I know I have a mute button, but I cannot find it. I can't click it fast enough. All right. Let's jump into sponsorship, and then we're going to jump into the main event. If you're still here, if you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. That means a ton to me. I greatly appreciate it. It shows you like this stuff, and I can do some more of it. If you're watching this later, I completely understand. Still, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It means a ton. Sponsor, as always, every single episode. The sponsor of this episode is my wife. Yesterday was my wife and I's 6-year wedding anniversary. We've been together 13 years. We are absolutely horrible at remembering these things. We actually remembered Saturday morning. We're like, oh yeah, we have an anniversary tomorrow. We just don't do that type of stuff. We always say that we just tell each other we love each other every single day. We don't need a special day for it. But she will always be my sponsor. Hun, I love you. I really wouldn't be the person I am without you. It's the truth. Like, it really is the truth. I'm such a better person with you in my life, and I love you, hun, and I can't wait to spend the next 1,000 years with you. Love you. All right, sponsorship out of the way. Let's talk about our friends in Guitar Hero. So, if you've been living under a rock, or if you're 5 and you didn't grow up with this, I've got a lot to tell you. We're not going to go into too much of the background of how it built and how it began and all that stuff, because that's too much technical stuff. I'm going to talk about each game in the franchise. I'm going to give you the big things that happen in each game, the innovations of each one, my thoughts on it, and a couple key tracks that made me even bigger fans of this game. This is a series that I really love. because there are so many good songs in the game that I would never know about except for this series. That was probably the most fun of each one of these titles, having a complete new list of songs and playing through them, because I feel like if you get a mix CD, wow, I'm old, mix CD, if you get a compilation disc, or if you go on Spotify and just do random stuff like that, if you got to a certain length of a song and you got bored of it, you would just turn it off. Or if it was just a song that you just, I don't like the few first notes, you would just get rid of it. You wouldn't care. This made you play through every song, which gave you a really good idea of if you'd like the song or not. It didn't give you the option of having to just fast forward through something or skip it to the next track. So I really enjoyed finding songs in these games that I just would never have thought to look at any other time. Another thing, we're not going to talk about Rock Band. We're not going to talk about Band Hero. We're not going to talk about the DS versions or anything like that. And like Guitar Hero, Metallica, Aerosmith, Van Halen, all those, because that would take up way too much time. We're just going to do the mainline games. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, World Tour, 5, Warriors of Rock, and the new PS4 Guitar Hero, and then a little bit about Fortnite. I am the age of 36. I don't play Fortnite, so I'm just going off of what I've seen. So let's start with rhythm-based games, because this is something that has been around forever. I remember going to Palladium in Toronto, or just outside Toronto, Mississauga. And when I was a kid, they had rhythm-based games before Guitar Hero. They had versions of Guitar Hero and drums and other things like that that were readily available. It just wasn't something that was on a console. I clearly remember playing something like a Guitar Hero back in the day before Guitar Hero took off. In fact, this is something I don't tell a lot of people, and I'll break the news here. One of the first times I went, ooh, I should learn how to play drums, was in a rhythm-based game that was at Palladium. There was a drumming style game. I have no idea what it was, but I played it just on a whim, and my dad was next to me while I was playing it. And I was keeping in time. The song I was playing was Will Smith Miami, so it's not a complicated Rush song or something like that. But he was sitting there and he watched me. And he's like, wow, you're actually doing pretty good. And that little nugget kept in my head of like, ooh, I got a compliment on this. I'm going to run with this. And then I started actually playing drums on my pillows and stuff, which led to me getting a drum kit, which led to me now knowing how to play drums. So I have a really good affection to rhythm-based games because, well, great music and great memory. So let's start off. I'm going to throw up a little bit of pictures so we can follow along. So if you guys hop in later and you want to know what game I'm talking about, we can kind of pay attention and kind of know where we're going. So let's look at Guitar Hero 1. This is Guitar Hero, first one ever made. Came with the guitar, came with some stickers, came with the strap. So this is where it all began. We've got a guitar here with 2 buttons, a whammy bar, and you've got the 5 colors at the top: green, red, yellow, blue, orange. I remember seeing this at Walmart, Toys R Us, and all that stuff when it first came out, and it was on a big long box. And it showed that you got the guitar with it, you got the game with it, and you got, this is, all this amazing music. They did not have licensed music on this one. I think maybe 1 or 2 tracks, but most of it were covers. And I got to admit, I was interested, but I had been burned many times beforehand with peripherals. Remember, this is back in the day when you had light guns, you had mouse pads for Mario Paint, you had all these extra things you can add to your games, but it usually only worked for that specific game. There wasn't a lot of peripherals that would go on to be used again and again and again and again and again. So you'd get a gun, a light gun, let's say with Time Crisis, and it would only work on Time Crisis. You couldn't use it on other ones. So I was interested in this, but I also didn't want to ask my mom, or at the time, if I had my own money, I didn't want to spend money on this and be like, okay, I have this cool guitar controller that I'm never going to use outside of this game. It's going to collect dust. So I was interested, but I was holding off. I do remember somebody I know playing it at a party, and I thought it was cool. I was really enjoying the music. I honestly can't remember many songs on this game because of the covers. So I wasn't too interested in this. This is probably the one I played the least, just because by the time I got into it, which was really number 2 and number 3, this one was like, oh, it's covers, it's not the best. So I just ignored it. It is interesting, though, when you look at this photo, and I know this is a shot of 2, but this look of the track, the multiplier, the rock meter, these are all things that, hell, it's got to be at least 20, 30 years, 20 years at least. This is very similar to the same style that Fortnite's using now, which I have to say is definitely something that's changed the industry. You know, if you tuned into the Cosplay Alliance podcast that I was on 2 weeks ago, I threw this out there as one of the top franchises in the world for video games because this is something that everyone knew about, and it's still a thing. Like, yes, it does die at some point. We're going to get into it, but this is a style. As soon as they announced it was coming back, everyone was like, it's got to be this. It's got to be this layout. Otherwise, it's going to be completely foreign and no one's really going to want to do it. So to hit a style like this on your first go and not change a lot for the following games, that's something that has to be applauded for Red Octane and Activision, who created this franchise. Let's go into number 2. We've got Guitar Hero 2. This is the first one where you can play together. And not a lot changed between 1 and 2. Very similar style. The biggest thing was Guitar Hero 1 did so well. We are into Guitar Hero 2, which means they finally were able to get licensed music, which made all of the difference. This made so much difference because the covers are great. I have no problem with the covers on number 1, but I feel like number 2 and going forward, you needed that licensed music. It was that little, it's the cherry on top of an amazing game. This was also the game that introduced pull-offs and hammer-ons. So if you don't know, if you've never played the guitar, a pull-off is when you're hitting a note and you pull one finger off and it changes the note. Hammer-on is the opposite. When you're doing a note, then you push down on another one and that hits another note. You now could do that in this one, which made guitar soloing and some intricate parts of the songs a lot of fun to play. This was the one that I first really got my hands on. So I had a friend back in the day. He came over with the PS2. Well, I had the PS2, but he brought the game, and we were hanging at my house, and he put it in, and my jaw dropped because I knew about 1 and I'd seen it, but number 2, actually getting my hands on it, seeing the track listing was like, what? I didn't know half of these songs, but I fell in love with a lot of these songs. This was the first time I ever heard Primus. This had John the Fisherman on it, and this was like mind-blowing hearing Les Claypool's bass lines on that song. And I became a Primus fan because of it. Hearing songs like Avenged Sevenfold, Beast and the Harlot. Like, I was a little bit of an Avenged Sevenfold fan, but actually sitting there and listening to that song and playing along with it was super fun. And even the complicated songs at the end, we had Extreme Play With Me, which I knew Extreme a little bit, but More Than Words is not Extreme to me. Play With Me and Nuno Betancourt playing that solo at the end is just mind-blowing, and also an easy way to give your hand a cramp. So Guitar Hero 2 really made it more accessible. I feel like number 1 had its hardcore fans, but number 2 made it more mainstream and made it more of a thing that everybody wanted to play. Again, going back to not much changed between number 1 and number 2. Having both on the screen at one time so you could play together made it more of that party game that everybody wanted. And I will admit, it wasn't long after the next game that a competitor came out and we had Rock Band, which took advantage of this and sent it into the stratosphere. This is the one. This is the one that I went, okay, end of discussion. I need my own copy. And I went out and I got Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock with the guitar. And folks, when I say I played this, I played the shit out of it. I played this so many times. To the point where this was the time when you had PS2 Slims, which were about yay big. I was just in my last year of high school. I was actually in my bonus year. So I had 2 classes. I had a drama class and I had a communications class, which is basically film. And I would do my drama class. I had a break and then I had communications class. I would go from drama class. I would have all the guitar stuff in my bag because the guitar, if you remember, you could pop the neck off. So I had everything in my backpack. I would go down to communications. They had a back room with a TV. I would plug my Guitar Hero in and play Guitar Hero in the back where no one could hear me. And I would play until my communications class. I would do the communications class and then go back and play Guitar Hero some more. And there was a door right by there that would leave. I would just play there until I got bored and then I would just leave the school. That's how much I played this game. There are people who are like, I play, Fortnite for hours and all that. No. This was like half a day every day playing Guitar Hero. I was obsessed with this game. And it seems like this is when the world became obsessed with this franchise. So much that you had people like Slash in the game. You had people like Mr. Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine in Guitar Hero 3. And even just this look of a cover and all that. This is the same style that's on the Guitar Hero arcade machine that is still available, which I played on my cruise ship that I went on earlier this year when we went to Europe. There was a Guitar Hero machine and I played a couple songs on it. I'm in the middle of the ocean in Europe, but I'm playing Guitar Hero. Again, this game revolutionized again because you have the same layout like I showed, same layout, pretty much the same stuff, but you also now had internet capabilities. And with the internet capabilities, you could download songs. So you had the initial playlist, but then you could also add stuff after that, which is something that I never thought was possible, but thank you to technology, you could. So you started off with this game and you had so many good songs, which again became incredible songs that I listen to all the time. We got Queens of the Stone Age, 3s and 7s. You've got Cliffs of Dover, which I still play now. When I played the arcade, I played Cliffs of Dover. Dragon Force owes a career to this game because I think everybody from your grandma to your 5-year-old has tried Through the Fire and the Flames on this game. This again though, this was something that I really caught my attention because I had this on PS2 and because I had all the rest on PS2. And I remember going to a friend of mine and he had this, but he had it on PS3. And at that point, as you may notice now with PS4, PS5, and Xbox One and all that, when you get to the end of a system life cycle and the new one begins, the graphical capabilities don't change a ton. It's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, but look wise, it's about the same. This was when I noticed there was a difference though, because I remember playing it, loving it, played to death, and then I went to my buddy's place and he threw it up on his TV and Bret Michaels from Poison was singing. And I went, well, how do you get Bret Michaels? And he goes, oh, well, it's just one of the characters in the game. And I went, no, it isn't. He goes, yeah, it is. It's right here. And it was then that I realized you had more stuff on the PS3. The PS3 disc could hold more than the PS2. And that's where I went, oh, I need to start looking into the next system, because if I keep with my PS2, I'm going to miss out on content. So I invested in a PS3, and it wasn't long after I got my PS3, I picked up a second copy of this, and I sold my PS2 one. Actually, I think I gave it to my ex-girlfriend. My girlfriend at the time, but my ex-girlfriend, I let her keep it. But even, like, again, going back to the DLC tracks, you had Buckethead, Sue Slayer. I never knew who Buckethead was, and I became an instant fan of his work. Joe Satriani, Surfing with the Alien. Like, another amazing guitarist that I knew nothing about, and I became a fan of his. And I became, again, later on in this, we'll talk about it in a bit, I found out even more of his stuff later on in other Guitar Heroes. And last, one of my favorite songs that I couldn't believe they put in a Guitar Hero game, because it's such an it's a very easy song to play in Guitar Hero, but it's still a fun one. The Top Gun theme is on there, not Danger Zone. The that's on there, and I made sure to download that too. This is probably one of the few times that I'm very upset that the PS3 servers are probably going to get shut down in the next couple years, because there's so many songs that I know if my PS3 craps out, I'm going to lose forever. And that's so frustrating, because I love playing these songs. We're actually going to have a party here with a bunch of my friends in the next couple months. And we're setting up my PS3 and my PS4 with Guitar Hero, because that's part of we love talking about how great this series is. So we're going to give everybody the chance to play those games. But yeah, this is the one that blew up. This is the one that changed the industry and made Guitar Hero a household name. Like I said, it wasn't long after this that Rockband came out, and that took it to the next level. And that's where Guitar Hero World Tour comes in as competition. This was the best shot I could get for the cover. I don't know where this is from, but available on PS2, PS3, 360, and Wii. This is the first introduction of different instruments. You had singing, you had guitar, you had bass, and you had percussion, because I'm going to call it percussion because it is not a drum kit. As a drummer, I hate playing drums on Guitar Hero and Rock Band. It is so not rock. It is so not drums. It is so frustrating. I guess he's still a buddy, who was in a band, who was guitarist. And I remember him coming over and showing me while I was showing him what Guitar Hero was. And he just couldn't do it, because he's like, this isn't guitar. It's a complete bastardization of what guitar is. And I said, yeah, I know that exact same feeling. It's how I feel when I play drums. So this was when you were able to introduce the different types of instruments. And I went out and bought myself a set of drums, and I barely used them, and I sold them. But I did like the singing. I also grew up playing Karaoke Revolution. That was a series that a bunch of us got when I was in high school. We picked up a couple of them, and we started having parties where we would just go around singing different songs. And I will be completely honest, I've always had that little bit of anxiety in myself, where if I'm not doing the cool thing, and I know this is completely against what I showcase, but there is a little bit of me that if I'm not doing the cool thing, that people won't want to be friends with me. So when I saw people enjoyed Karaoke Revolution, I got every Karaoke Revolution game I could. I became the guy for Karaoke Revolution. So I had been used to doing SingStar games like that. So this was great that we could actually have it in a Guitar Hero game. And even playing bass, it was fun to try out the different tracks and different layouts for what the bass tracks were compared to the guitar tracks. This was the first game that had a ton of songs. There was a very limited amount of songs with 3 and 2 and 1. But this one, they really went like, okay, we're going to do as many songs as we can in this game, which I liked, but I don't know. I don't think it had the character that the other 3 Guitar Hero games had. And I feel like that's one of the problems that this series falls into. And you'll notice in the next 2 games, it's very similar. Like the first one had the boom, had the this is the new game. The second one had the more of the mainstream getting behind it. The third one had the celebrities of Slash, Morello. And then this one kind of was just another game. It didn't it had more instruments, but Rockband had already done that. So it wasn't as big of a jump as anything else. So we had a game that I feel like out of all the Guitar Heroes, this one gets lost a bit. And I feel like this is similar to when Guitar Hero did Band Hero, where I don't want to say it lost its audience, but I feel like it just didn't know what it was. Like, I feel like this was a very, I think they both had the idea of wanting to do multiple instruments. Rock Band had it, and now World Tour had it. And I feel like Guitar Hero had an identity. It had an identity as the guitar game that had amazing songs and was a revolutionary thing in the industry. And then Rock Band came along and brought along its instruments and kind of took this formula and blew it up. And I feel like after this game, Guitar Hero was always trying to do Rock Band. It wasn't trying to do its own thing. And I think that is what hurts it the most. And you'll see it in the next 2 games that it just loses its personality and it becomes a competitor and it becomes not a mockery. Mockery is the wrong word, but it just loses it. And I feel like when I think, even as a hardcore fan of this series, I feel like this is the game I forget about the most because the tracks are they're so good, but they're so all over the place. Like, I love BLS, Black Label Society, Stillborn, Tools in this with Vicarious, but I don't know. It feels like it's trying to compete too much and trying to be Rock Band. And as you can see with this, that top bar, that is Karaoke Revolution to a T. Down here, that is Guitar Hero. So this looks, from what I've seen, pretty similar to what Fortnite is. I don't think Fortnite has the lyrics and has the wave, but it's very similar to what Fortnite is doing. Justice Smith says in chat, playing real guitar, I personally could never get into Guitar Hero and sucked at it when I tried. Yeah, my buddy Joe was the exact same way. He was the lead singer of a band, and he was playing guitar too. And when he picked up that guitar, he's like, I just can't do it. It feels too weird. And I'm the same way with drums. I can play the drums, but playing Guitar Hero drums, I'm terrible. Absolutely horrible. Which was a frustrating thing because, again, we're not going to talk too much about side games, but I'm a diehard Metallica fan. And when Guitar Hero Metallica came out, it had all of them. It had all of the instruments. And I knew I wanted to play each instrument. So guitar, I was good. Bass, I was good. Singing, I was good. I could probably do medium to hard on some of those. Drums, it was easy as pie. And it was frustrating because I know how to play Metallica songs. I know how to play almost all Metallica songs, but slowing it down and not playing it the way I played it was just frustrating to do. So I get it. I completely get it that if you know how to do it, it's probably the same with singing too. If you're an actual singer, you're just like, this makes no sense to me. So we've got World Tour and we've got Guitar Hero now competing with Rock Band. And now we got Guitar Hero 5. Now, this is where I feel like the wheels fall off. Because 1 to 2, we had the hammer-ons pull-offs. 2 to 3, we had the popularity boom, but we also had the celebrities incorporated with Slash and Morello. From 3 to World Tour, we had the instruments. We had the drums involved. We had the microphone involved. We got the bass involved. From World Tour to 5, there's not a lot of innovation. There's nothing different, really. And this is where I feel the wheels come off, because now we've got Rock Band 2 just taking over. And this is where I feel like Guitar Hero completely loses that personality and just tries to compete. And this has probably got one of the best groups of songs. And I believe this is the one. I don't remember if it's World Tour or not, but I believe this one, you could take some of the World Tour songs and put them on to Guitar Hero 5 so you can combine them and have almost everything under one game, which is nice, but also it makes you not need to play World Tour anymore, which makes it a coaster. And there's like, I don't want to say that this is just kind of left in the dust, but you could play, you could all play guitar, you could all play bass is the upgrade for this one. But again, it does that. I don't really feel that's a revolution. I don't feel like that's something big. I feel like they got a graphical upgrade, whatever that means to you, because you're not watching the backgrounds. So yeah, I like this game. It's one I played a good amount because I like the track listings. Du Hast is on this one, obviously. Rammstein's biggest song. Dire Straits' Salt in the Swing is one of my favorite Dire Straits songs. But yeah, this one just kind of dies for me. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like this is where we're in trouble. But Guitar Hero being the kings and the ones who started this, they went, nope, we're not done yet. And by the way, folks, if you're wondering about sales for each one, it goes up to 3 and then it starts to fall. So what I'm going with my excitement and how much I have to say about it, the sales are kind of doing the same thing. So 5 is not doing as well as they want. So we're going to do one last thing. We're going to go to Warriors of Rock. Now, this one is one of the most fun games, in my opinion. Besides 3, I have played this one more than anything. Probably mostly because of the song choices. They made a lot of great choices when it comes to songs. The Rush 2112 songs are so fun to play. I'm not a giant Rush fan. I know I'm Canadian. I should be. But I'm not a giant Rush fan. Playing the 2112 made me a bigger Rush fan. Songs like Nine Inch Nails' Wish are in this, which I love Nine Inch Nails. And like the idea of turning your character into a monster and a creature after doing so well was a cool concept. There are a lot of extra things, like you can see here. You can have the power of a speed freak, your 2 times minimum multiplier that rises quickly, stays over 3 times to earn 5 stars. Like, it had little things like that made playing a little more fun. There was a boss battle in this at the end, and you get a Megadeth song at the end. It's not a bad idea. Like, I could see their thought process of making it more of a game and not just, let's all play some fun songs, which I did enjoy. I'm a single player when it comes to video games. So that made it a little more entertaining for me. But again, I felt like this was a desperate attempt of them trying to just go, we'll do this. And to me, it worked, but for a lot of people I know, it was just they were too stuck in, Rock Band at this point. And by this point, they had changed a couple things. I believe this is the one where the guitar had the top buttons and bottom buttons, so you could solo and look more like a solo, which I never got that because you got muscle memory up here, and once you go down here, they're a little closer, and it wasn't for me. But yeah, this was where it fell off for a lot of people, and this was the last mainstream Guitar Hero game, which I was kind of bummed about. Like I said, there's alternates. There was Aerosmith, Van Halen, Metallica. There was the '80s back when between 2 and 3. But this was kind of where everyone jumped off. This was also the time where even Rock Band was starting to lose its luster because you can only play so many. Their track list was only so long. You were able to get DLC songs, but it wasn't working anymore. So this was the last one until I believe it was 2013, 14. Could be wrong on that one. Guitar Hero came to PS4 and Guitar Hero Live was invented. Now, let me give you a little backstory on this. I was working at Toys R Us at the time, and I remember getting the preview cabinet for this game. It showed up. I'd heard, obviously, that it was coming out, and I was super excited to have it in the store. And I remember I didn't see any screenshots or anything. I just knew new Guitar Hero was coming in. And we started the cabinet up, and this screen popped up. And I'm going, what the heck is this? And what this was a new Guitar Hero in a new style. And what it was gone were the days of animated characters playing along with the songs. You were now in a live shot band, and you were playing to an audience. And that's a really cool concept. It was, I think, 5 or 6 different bands that they shot real video, and they had a crowd that you would look out to, and the crowd would dictate how well you were doing. You really didn't have to pay attention to the side to notice your score. You would just know because the crowd would either be cheering or booing. They also changed the guitar layout. I should have grabbed a photo of the guitar, but gone were the 5 buttons. You had 3 buttons, but they were top and bottom. So instead of going side to side on the guitar, you curved your hand and hit top or bottom. So you can hit more chord-like button layout. It was really fun to pop around with. I'm getting to that. This is when I really started to get my age. And I know I'm only like my mid 20s at that point, but I really started to realize oh, this game has got crappy songs. Now it wasn't 13 and it could have been 2013 and I had to be 15, 16. Yeah, I had to be 15, 16. Anyways, crappy songs. I did not like half of these songs. Fall Out Boy, I can't remember the song. Light It Up. That was probably the song on here that I was like, oh, that's fun. But a lot of modern songs. This was when not Fleetwood Mac. That's dating me even more. Mumford and Sons, that genre was really kicking in. So there's an entire set of just that Mumford and Sons style. The most fun is watching the corny audience members booing you when you do bad. It was one of the few games where I really wanted to do bad just to see their reactions. But it was a really cool concept. I get their idea for, wanting to make it feel like you're more of a rock star. You're watching the audience. You're not watching the rest of your band. The guitar wasn't that big of a difference, in my opinion. It did feel your muscle memory for decades of wanting to go down the neck of it, having to change, was different and did take a little while to get used to, but it did get normal after a while. The biggest change, though, that I loved, but I knew was a ticking time bomb, was the Guitar Hero live section. And they wrote it that way, I assume, because A, live, it's like you're playing to a live audience, but they also had a live song section, which basically was if you didn't want to play in front of an audience, you could flip over to, I believe it was called the live section, and you could play to different channels that were continuously streaming songs. So it was almost like a Guitar Hero version of MTV, which is a great idea. It was so fun to hop into there and just start playing. You could play, I'm trying to think of some of the songs. Great White, Rock Me, another Joe Satriani song, Summer Song was on there, Motley Crue was on there. It was so fun to hop in there just randomly and just play whatever was playing. You could gain credits for playing so long on just the regular songs that were streaming. You could then hop in and actually pick whatever song you wanted to play after a certain amount of time, which was a great concept. They could obviously microtransaction. You can buy more credits and stuff like that, which whatever, if you wanted to do it, you could. It doesn't bother me. But it was so fun to just play some random songs, and the library was huge. Like ZZ Top was on there too. But I knew sooner or later it wasn't going to last. And sure enough, after I only think a year and a half, 2 years, they killed that service, which took the song listing in the game from hundreds to 50, which is still good. But if you're not a fan of those 50 songs and their styles that you're not a fan of, it died. It died. And honestly, I played that. It's one of those games, you know, those videos you see online of like people huddling around when the servers are going to get kicked off. I kind of did that with this game. I remember finding out what the date was that the servers were going to get cut. And I remember playing for like 2 hours straight before it was getting cut, because I'm like, I just want to enjoy this as much as I can. And as soon as it got cut, I don't think I turned the game on again. It's still in my basement. I don't think I've touched it since, which sucks because I actually enjoy that new guitar and all that. But it's it's a bummer. But yeah, that's it for Guitar Hero when it comes to the mainline series. Today, Guitar Hero is still doing pretty good in the form of Fortnite, a game that if you looked at me and said this shooter game that kids are playing, that has all these weird dances and skins is going to have a Guitar Hero element, never would have called it. But sure enough, it has come back, and it was interesting to see it kick off. I remember seeing previews of it, and it looks very similar to Guitar Hero. I don't have a guitar. I don't have Fortnite. I'm not of that age. I am the age of 36. Fortnite's not my thing. But from what I saw, it went well. I know a lot of people were interested in it. I know a lot of Guitar Hero and Rockband fans were interested in it. But I gotta admit, when Metallica jumped on, and now Metallica songs are in it, and you can download the Metallica characters and different skins and different instruments and stuff, and you can play Metallica songs. I've seen a lot more about the game, and I don't think it's just because I'm a Metallica fan and that stuff ends up in my feed. I just think that that was the shot in the arm it needed. And I'm interested to see where they're going to go with this. I know I think it's got potential to keep going. I hope they can keep the fan base. I know they just released a Guitar Hero peripheral for it, which is interesting. I'd like to give it a shot. I don't think I'm going to pay for it because I'm not as much of a gamer as I used to be. I'm a cosplayer now. But yeah, I am very interested to see where they're going to go with this. I hope they get some more artists to be a part of this. I'm very happy to see. I saw this within minutes of them going live with the Metallica stuff. There is a tribute to Metallica's bassist Cliff Burton in the game, which is really, really cool. That is something I don't think they needed to do, but I'm really glad they did. It's really good on them to show the fan base that love. I think that's that little, as I said earlier, that cherry on top of a really cool collaboration. I think you can easily put in characters like Kiss. You can put in, hell, it's Fortnite. It seems like you can put everybody. Fortnite is like the Funko of video games. It feels like you can put absolutely everybody in that series and it'll work. So, again, I'm not the age of a Fortnite player, but good on them because that's a nut. And I've also seen people calling it sellouts that Metallica's in it. Folks, where do you think these new fans are going to come from? Like, I'm 36. I'm a Metallica fan. You're not getting me again. You're not getting people my age. You need a younger fan base. And if the younger fans are playing Fortnite, this has now put Metallica in the line of their eyeballs and their ears so they can become fans as well. That's how you grow your audience. So nobody's buying albums anymore. It's the same with Kiss. I don't want to go on a rant again, but people complaining about the Kiss avatars that are coming out, and it's going to be one of those on the digital avatar shows like ABBA has in Europe, and people are saying, well, that's not Kiss. Kiss is done. The main members of Kiss are retired. This is the only way you're going to get more out of that band, and you could let it die, or you could push it in front of a whole bunch of new kids, and maybe they're going to get interested. Maybe you're going to get people who are going to become amazing guitarists, amazing singers, amazing drummers because they played Fortnite when they were kids and they went to see these digital shows. So, dude, if you can get that band or any band in front of, everyone wants to make money. Exactly, Alex. Alex says in chat, everyone wants to make money. If you can't tour, this is the best way to do it. Exactly. Touring is kind of dying because of how expensive it is. So, this is the way we're getting in front of people. So I'm really excited to see Metallica in Fortnite. It seems like everyone's having a blast with it. I'm excited to see what other bands are going to bring in. That's my history of Guitar Hero, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. If you can, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. It is 8:01. I will let you guys get out of here because it is Game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Go Oilers. I'm not an Oiler, but go Oilers. I'll be heading out, watching that game in a minute. Next week, we're going to talk all about Nickel City Comic-Con because I will be there this Sunday in Buffalo. My first time there. I got an idea who I'm going to be working with. I'm going to be volunteering. But I am very, very excited to go down there and see what all the hubbub is about. I think it'll be a great time. Have a great night, folks. Enjoy the game, enjoy the hockey game, and I will see you all next week. Love you all. See you then. Hey, thanks for watching Monday Night Nerd. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the subscribe button, like this content, and follow on social media for even more nerdy fun. See you soon.